It may not seem like it, and whether they like it or not, this is exactly what car companies worldwide are looking after. Green grass, wide open spaces, clean air, even people walking with umbrellas somewhere down there. What I'm trying to say is that they're looking after the environment. And this is not just a global company that's doing it, but companies in our own country, they're doing it as well, thanks to the initiative, of course, of their global companies. For instance, Toyota. They first brought in the Prius to the Philippines, followed by the Altis Hybrid, followed by the Corolla Cross Hybrid. Now, they're following it up with this, the Toyota Camry Hybrid, the 2022 Camry Hybrid. This model is going to be the only Camry available in the Philippines, a hybrid system, and that's it. The other products of Toyota will still have internal combustion engines, but for this Camry, it's only going to be a hybrid system from now on. So good on you, Toyota. I'm going to talk you through some of the differences, the key changes from the exterior, interior, and of course what's under the hood of this generation to the previous generation. Now, before we get started, I know a lot of people out there have said that the Camry, or rather Toyota, has always been very plain, have been very blah, have been very vanilla really. And yeah, I tend to agree with them on much earlier versions of their cars. But lately, they've started to look a heck of a lot better. I mean, for instance, look at the color of this automobile. I know that Toyota puts a premium on their white cars, but you know what? Ditch it, because this hue kind of reminds me of it being a Lexus, really. I wonder where they got that hint from. Anyway, so let's go through the exterior changes, shall we? Okay, up front, the first thing you're going to notice is that there is a blue tinge that comes around the logo, signifying that it is, of course, a hybrid system that is inside the automobile. Then the front clip here, all of this is all blacked out, very nice blacked out, with chrome surrounding the blackness of it. Is that even a term? I don't know, but it just looks good. Let's move on to the side. I know you've probably seen it already, but the wheels are still 18s. They have been tweaked ever so slightly, but the size still remains from the previous generation. Everything down the side is pretty much the same. You got some chrome accents up here, chrome on the door handles. And then when we move on to the back, I want to show you something here. I don't know if you can get into an angle that's kind of like low at this point, looking at it from this angle right here. When you look at it, doesn't it remind you of like a Supra? This tip right here kind of makes it look like a Supra, really. You've got new LED tail lights that have sort of like a dark hue to it as well. They added that, that's new. The tail finisher is still the same. And there is now a reverse camera in the Camry. I was told that the previous generation didn't have one, which I don't believe, but they say nonetheless that there is now a reverse camera for the Camry. Open her up, if we can. How do you... To the right. To the right. Oh, okay, there's a button on the right. You gotta open that up. It's a fairly large space. I'm looking at maybe about over 400 liters of space, which is just about average in a mid-size sedan. And then, of course, at the bottom, you've got a full-size spare, which I think is a nice touch. If you want to increase the cargo hold, unfortunately, you can't. If you want to load a long item, you can, because behind the center console, there's a door that opens down and you can put long stuff from the rear that will stretch all the way to the front. But you cannot fold the rear seats. And there's a good reason why. And that's because you have power reclining seats back here. Just with the flip of a button, or rather a press of a button, you can move your seat, lean forward, or back with a push of a touch screen. You can move both chairs. You can control the temperature back here from the air vents that are found up front, as well as the fan speed. And then you also have controls for the shade that goes up and down in the back. It's very business-like, very business class back here, if I'm being honest with you. And there's definitely room for two large-size adults. If there's a third person back here, sure you can, but why would you? Because you then diminish all the controls that you have here, which also include bottle holders found up front, two air vents here down below, and then two USB charging points found kind of down low. Bit of a stretch, but hey, At least they're there. Bottle holders on either door, and of course, privacy shade on your windows. Now, the space back here is actually pretty darn good already, but let's say, for example, you have somebody in the back that is, let's say, 6 feet 9 inches tall. Why you'd be friends with that person, I have no idea. But let's say you have someone here that's tall. They can actually move this chair without even asking the guy that's sitting up front by just simply pressing a button, and then it moves forward like that. I wish you could do it the same way with the driver, but then that would be a bad idea because while you're moving and then you move his chair, you might die. Oh, and that what you're hearing right now is the engine just coming on. Now, the biggest changes up front, the business end of the Camry, is that there are more satin finish parts that you can find all around the car. And really, I like this sexy looking suede that they've got here. It looks like the dress of a flamenco dancer. Grrr, sexy. There are still piano black plastics that can be found around the cabin, but at the very least, they've moved up and away from the shifter. So this area here isn't so scratchy. There is a wireless charging, which is nice. The screen from the previous generation has gotten bigger. It used to be 7 inches, now it's closer to about 9 inches. Although, I wish they would have integrated it into the dashboard a little bit better. But you know what? We'll save that for a proper review when we get this car on behind the wheel. On the left, you no longer have a tachometer. Now it's your eco and power meter. And then it also tells you when the car is charging. Then in the center, you've got a full color TFT display, which will show you your EV mode, your fuel consumption, and other warnings in the automobile. On your right is just still your standard analog speedometer. Then of course, in addition, there are now also 9 JBL speakers found all over the automobile, which I wish I could show you the sound or let you hear the sound like before. Unfortunately, we can't, because sadly, we came to this shoot without any power in our phones. It's so sad.
But there's a wireless charger.
But there's a wireless charger. How are we going to explain that on camera? But in all seriousness, you guys want to know exactly the biggest difference of the previous generation to this generation, the Camry, right? And that can be found on what's under the hood. So let's do that right now. Okay, so under the hood is still the same 2.5 liter 4-cylinder that you found in the previous generation, but now it's accompanied by a hybrid system. So in total, you're looking at about 207 horses and 221 Newton meters of torque. That is with the hybrid system. Your fuel consumption figures combined, although we haven't tested it yet, Toyota tells us that combined it can do about 22.5 kilometers per liter. That's both city and highway. And those figures are actually pretty amazing. Not as amazing as the fact that there are struts inside this car. Everybody else, pay attention, because it makes it easier for shorter people like myself. Now, there are 2 motors in this, apart from the internal combustion engine. There is a motor that charges every time you use the brakes. So there's a regeneration system. I hate regeneration system that produces electricity and stores it in the batteries. And then there's another hybrid motor that when it charges, it actually pushes it to the front wheels. Both systems, I've heard, give it quite a bit of a launch. So because we're stupid, here's a video of our launch. Sport. Put it into sport. Turn off the air conditioning system. Here we go. Launch like a Tesla, baby. 3, 2, 1. He's trying to kill me. Do you see that? He's trying to kill me. What the is this guy's problem? We're so stupid. We really are. Anyway, back to the Camry. Price. I can now tell you that the price of this 2022 Camry Hybrid is 2,335,000 Philippine pesos. Now, unlike before, when I'd reveal the price of an automobile, specifically Toyotas, I kind of get scared because the price sometimes is a little bit, I feel, too much for what the car is. This time, no, not at all. if you go to our website, AutoDeal.com.ph, and click the comparison tool, put this in the category and then add any other car within the same category, and you'll find that the price of this Camry is not that far from the other mid-size sedans. And here's the kicker. This has a hybrid system. Those others don't. What I'm dying to find out is exactly how well does it drive around the city and on the highway. But we'll save that for a proper review on Behind the Wheel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe, and I hope to see you soon.